as we roll on in 2026, the good, the bad, and the ugly of social media is being highlighted around the world. And it could be good at times, but it could be very, very ugly as well. To talk more about it, thrilled to be joined by one of our newest members here at TPL Media, Shaliza Bacchus. Shaliza, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you, Jim?
Good, good. Let's get, before we get into some of the stuff that's going on, when exactly did social media take a hold on society the way it is right now? When did that start?
That's a really good question. You know what? I think COVID had a lot to do with it. People were bored. Obviously, that's when TikTok really blew up as well. And it has just had a hold on everybody. And it doesn't matter how old you are ever since. In some way, shape, or form, social media has some sort of hold on you.
You know, I thought TikTok was strictly, preteens, teens, college kids. But I have one of my wife's cousins, a dairy farmer in his 50s who watched TikTok videos of other dairy farmers milking. And I'm like, you do? And what is it about the TikTok algorithm that made it what it is?
I don't know what it is. I don't know how they know what's going on inside my head, but somehow it just always knows what you're going through, and somehow it ends up on your algorithm. Like, that needs to be studied, how they know exactly what's going on in everybody's life, that they know exactly what content to feed you. And also, I get nervous to look things up on TikTok sometimes, because I'm like, well, now my whole feed's going to be this.
So when did it go from sharing information about where you're going to eat from dinner and birthday messages and letting people know I saw a good movie to turning to toxic, where you say something A and it goes down, whether it's people who are just trolls or bot farms, and it spirals out of control?
Yeah, and I think that also makes us think, are people really that bored that they have nothing to do than just troll online and leave stupid comments, for lack of a better term, stupid comments? And it's like, aren't we tired of it? And I really wish I could tell you when that shift happened, but I think it happened so gradually. And now looking back on it, we're like, what happened? How did we get here?
So a little social experiment. I posted something on my Facebook that went on my threads. I didn't mention Trump. I didn't mention America. I didn't mention player names. I didn't mention Canada or the US. I just said, to paraphrase, I could look it up, but when I watch hockey, I don't think politics. I just watched a hockey game. I just want to watch it.
I did see that and I liked it.
So that spun to thousands of comments from people who thought I was commenting on Trump and America. And one individual said, well, I guess I know who you voted for. So I put a response saying, well, I voted NDP, I'm Canadian. And they said, why are you commenting on American subject matter? And I didn't, and this is what, I was no names, no country. It was as generic as possible. And it went crazy. And I was fascinated to see how one comment fed off the other, and they started to fight with each other.
It really is fascinating. And sometimes you're just wondering, how that it doesn't make sense to me sometimes. And this is somebody who's chronically online. I'm on social media all the time, more than I'd like to admit, but it gets really, really scary. And it's crazy how some content that you think is harmless, just like that one post on Threads or whatever the case is, how it just completely blows up, and something that's actually important, important subject matter to what's going on in the world, it gets no hits and no views.
Right. So how do you know, if you're on social media, that it's a bot commenting on what you did, and if it's just some rando who just feels like spewing hate?
Well, I think usually if you look at their profiles, usually their username is also a good tell. You'll see a random numbers, or it'll say user 59977, something like that. No profile picture.
Yes.
And if you look at their actual feed, they probably have no posts, or just generic posts that are maybe AI created and things like that. And then you'll see, real people most likely will have a photo of themselves as their profile picture. You look at their feed and see what they're posting or what they're reposting. And it's sometimes hard to tell, because these bots and AI are getting very convincing these days.
So I'm a believer in using different social media platforms for different topics. Facebook is more personal, family. Instagram, I find it's my buddies, and we're talking hockey and golf and dogs and silly stuff like that. Am I right? Is it, should you use different platforms for different things in your life?
I mean, I do it too. I mean, I barely use Facebook anymore, to tell you the truth.
I'm old.
If I didn't need it for work, I wouldn't use it. I'll be honest. And I feel like Instagram is kind of becoming that too. And I don't know if this is a generational thing, but I love Instagram. I used to love Instagram. That was my number one platform. But now I'm finding,
Oh, is that right?
yeah,
Okay.
it was, and you know, back in the day when Instagram started, what, 15 years ago, it was like posting food photos.
Right.
You know,
That was a big thing, right?
That was what Instagram was used for. And then it progressed into, I don't know. Now it just feels like it is flooded with things that are just untrue. A lot of fake news on the platform, a lot of AI generated content that is becoming so convincing. Like people are believing it. And I also think this has to do a lot with Bill C-19 here in Canada, because they have blocked all news sources on Meta platforms. So Facebook, Instagram, Threads, you can't see any news. So any local news, any national news, even some radio stations have been blocked. So don't you think that's feeding into the fake news phenomenon that's
Absolutely.
going on? And people don't have any trusted content and trusted sources.
Well, there was a big incident this week where Ben Mulrooney on Global News posted what he thought was a video from the war in Iran, and it was a video from like an actual video game.
Yeah.
It was a visual from a video game, and they had to obviously issue an apology.
Yeah. And all of these deepfakes and AI photos of like celebrities in the
Yes.
hospital. And it's looking more and more convincing. And even like with the things that are going on in Iran and all around the world, really, everything in the Middle East, it is so hard to find verified content. You're scrolling, seeing all of these videos. And my first thought, like as somebody who's on social media all the time, it's like, okay, is this real or not?
If you were 12, Shaliza, could you have handled social media?
I don't think so. Not with the way it is now. And I always say this, I'm so grateful for the generation that I grew up in. We were kind of like the crash test dummies
Right.
for social media.
Yes.
You know, we started with the dial-up internet, then we got into MSN Messenger, and then slowly progressed to Facebook and beyond
As you got older.
as we got older.
Yeah.
As a teen, as a preteen now, there is so much content being thrown at them. I don't know how to handle it. I couldn't handle it. I can't handle it as an adult. And with an undeveloped nervous system, with an undeveloped brain, you're looking at all of these things. And I was actually having a really interesting conversation with someone the other day. They were talking about how her 12-year-old daughter, her algorithm is all like dieting and beauty things. And
At 12?
At 12. And it's like, how do they know this? And for boys, for 12-year-old boys, it's a lot of violence. It's a lot of video game violence and shooting things. And that kind of also makes me think of the Tumbler Ridge shooting
Yes.
in British Columbia.
Yes.
When you have a troubled teen who maybe had some identity. Yes, she identified as a girl, but she was born a male. And that's fine. Trans right. I'm here for the LGBTQ plus community. That's besides the point. It's all of the things that they are exposed to on social media really, really messes with your head.
And am I correct that AI ChatGPT had flagged this individual's account,
Yes.
but didn't tell the authorities?
Nope. So then what's the point of doing all that then? What's the point of having access to that?
So I had a conversation with someone recently, and we talked about the social media restrictions in Australia. Now, to me, Australia is a very democratic, progressive country, but they had identified a problem with their youth and put in restrictions that you can't have social media if you're a certain age. Now, I am pro freedom, pro everyone do what you do, but I am seeing evidence that it's having a real adverse effect on our youth. And I'm okay saying if you're 14 or under in Canada, you can't be on social media.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. And right now, I think it's a tough spot for a lot of parents because a lot of them don't want to give in. They don't want to give them the phone. They don't want to do this, but then they're seeing all of their friends have it and everyone else is on social media. So then you feel left out and then you feel isolated. So then that's another mental health issue where you feel like you can't connect with your peers.
Right.
So it's like, where do we draw the line?
And there was it's actually quite a sad story that came out in Ontario, the amount of young men seeking help for online gambling problems because of all the gambling apps on their phone as well. It was staggering, the amount of young men asking for help.
Also, can I just point this out, actually, as I'm doom scrolling on TikTok, because I am guilty of doom scrolling, I will tell you that. But I am seeing a crazy amount of ads for sports betting apps and for gambling apps as
On
well.
your algorithm?
Yes. It's very strange. Like if I were to open TikTok right now, I can guarantee you the first ad I will see is for like Bet365. Am I allowed to say the names of them? I hope so.
Whoa, we are now.
We are now. But for Bet365 and like, I don't even remember the names of them, but I'm like, why is this being pushed out to people so much?
Well, that I don't understand. So I know with my wife and my partner and I, when we'll look up, hey, we want to go to IKEA, get a shelf, or we're looking at, doing something, all of a sudden, all our feeds are populated with, ads and stories. Like I've just grown to be accustomed to that. They're listening. But it is weird to me that in your algorithm, which is nothing to do with sports gambling or online betting, you're getting ads for it.
Yeah.
But that's what I don't understand.
My algorithm's very simple. It's makeup.
Sure.
It's fun, lighthearted things. It's millennial nostalgia, and then I just keep seeing all of these casino apps.
So if you're a 13-year-old boy in Canada who maybe is looking at basketball and video games and I don't know, cats, and you're getting gambling ads in the algorithm, what's to stop them from starting to look into it and getting sucked into that?
Exactly. And I mean, you can put an age restriction on those things, but there's a way around them.
Right.
It's the same thing as, doing under 18 things when.
But the kids have been doing that for hundreds of years.
Exactly. There's always a way around it. I mean, I may or may not have had a fake ID back in the day, but that's a conversation.
You?
No, I'm an angel.
So I think there are still some good about social media and good things about it. For you, what are the pros? What are the things where it is a good thing?
Oh, there are absolutely so many pros. I mean, for businesses, for small businesses, there are so many ways for them to get their content out there. And, bakeries, people who are running businesses out of their homes, a lot of people who do like lash extensions and beauty services and things like that. I think it's fabulous. And even for news outlets to get their content out there, because let's be honest, not a lot of people are watching traditional news and receiving it in the way that they did 20 years ago. So I think it is very helpful for news outlets to get clips of major headlines out there. But again, that's on TikTok. Unfortunately, that's not the case on Meta platforms because it's all blocked.
Now, I keep hearing that they may be coming to a resolution. Will that happen in 2026?
I mean, I'm really hoping so, but I've been hearing that for years. And it's been, 2 or 3 years since the Bill C-19 went into place. And it's just getting worse. And I mean, I'm seeing like older people like, my mom, my aunts, things like that. They're showing me all these videos. Oh, look, Queen Latifah's in the hospital and she's asking. And I'm like, dude, that's not real. But when you look at it, it really does look like her.
Well, a sports reporter I know from London, Ontario, reposted that Phil Esposito, a hockey legend, Hall of Famer who had died, and it looked so real. And then he had, excuse me, I got sucked into a fake AI generated. It looked like an actual official post. Phil's very much alive and well, but it happens every day.
And that also reminded me of a really good point as well, where social media, if you are posting something for clarity on your own account, like for example, Pink, it was in the headlines that she and her husband had split up again for a second time.
She did her own video.
Yeah, she went on to, I think it was Instagram and TikTok. I think it was all of her platforms. She's like, hey, so this is news to me. Apparently my husband and I are splitting up. He's upstairs. My kids are right here. We're not splitting up.
But the world bought into it and it went on every entertainment site, TMZ. It's spread like wildfire, Shaliza.
Absolutely. And that's the culture that we live in now because of social media. One outlet posts it and everybody else is picking it up. But then it's like that comes back to and I think both of us will feel this way with a journalism, with a news reporting background. What are your sources? Where did you get this from? And I think that needs to be translated on social media. We need to be fact-checking things. We need to have reliable sources, which is not the case now.
Unfortunately, Tumbler Ridge, we saw the ugly side of social media with people spreading a lot of unfounded stories and rumors and photos
Absolutely.
They had no business doing. And that was really disappointing.
And very disheartening for the LGBTQ plus community. So many insane things about trans people. And just because the shooter was a trans person, that does not mean that all of these things are true.
Where do we go from here in social media? I mean, the restrictions aside, what can a provincial, federal government, a group of countries do to control what is a multi-billion-dollar beast.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, they don't want to damage people's incomes. They don't want to affect people who can profit off of social media. But at the same time, something needs to be done. We are seeing an unprecedented amount of mental health issues amongst our youth, amongst even adults.
Yes.
And it's all because of social media. And when did it become okay? Like, aside from the government, when did it become okay for us to be so mean to each other?
That's a great question. There was a sense of civility where you would only cross that line in dire circumstances, in extreme circumstances. A family member's about to be threatened. You're going to cross the line, you're going to be angry. But just for an innocuous comment about,
Right.
I don't like this, you know, I don't like ketchup on my fries, and people start yelling
You're
at me.
insane. Or people who like ketchup on their mac and cheese.
Yes, you're insane.
You're insane. And I don't know. The government does need to intervene in some way, but also I think the way that our culture is now, a lot of people have a hard time believing in the government.
Well, that is true.
So even if they do intervene, what is that really going to do? Are people going to conform to it? Are they going to listen? What are the consequences going to be?
So Mark Zuckerberg famously was at a congressional hearing in Washington, D.C. to talk about Meta, Facebook, all those platforms. I mean, extremely wealthy, extremely influential, powerful man. After that, I don't know what's changed.
Exactly. And if you are this billionaire, you are behind all of these platforms, you have the opportunity to use your voice, to use your influence to actually make a difference. And literally, and I'm going to keep coming back to this, if I were ever in a room with Mark Zuckerberg, the first thing I would do is ask him, what do you have against news on your platforms?
Yeah.
Like, what was the need for that?
Well, for my belief is he feels that he can control the news, the message, and the narrative on his platforms without having journalistic verified stories to interfere with it. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah. And that's what the world is becoming. Everything is becoming so mishmashed together, so watered down. Nothing is reliable. I keep saying the same thing over and over again, but it's true. And there needs to be some sort of reform when it comes to social media.
I know for my Facebook, it's a way for my family and friends to stay connected and, trade messages. On Instagram, I find, our daughters, my wife, we'll trade silly AI generated dachshund videos where the dachshunds are driving cars because I think it's funny, and the recipes. Or we'll go, hey, there's this new Thai restaurant in Richmond Hill. When you guys are in town, let's go check it out. I think that's okay. But I'm just so conflicted because I hate seeing the damage that it's doing to society, the damage it's doing to mental health.
Absolutely.
Can I still enjoy social media, but be aware that it's bad sometimes?
Yeah. And that's the question. Where do you draw the line, and how do you teach kids this is where you draw the line? This is when you need to realize you've gone too far. Right. And I mean, we can put like timers. There are timers on, you can put like, a restriction on your Instagram or your TikTok to say, hey, you've had enough, but you can just ignore it and continue. And I've fallen victim to it as well. I will sit there doom scrolling for like an hour and I don't realize how much time has gone by. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I was just mindlessly staring.
Even as busy as you are, Shaliza, that'll happen to you?
I mean, honestly, sometimes I'm going to get into bed and I'm like, well, I'm not sleepy yet. I could watch TV, I could read a book, or I could scroll on TikTok.
That's like the Instagram videos they have.
Literally. And I'm guilty. I am guilty of it as well.
And then you send your partner reels about something you guys want to do or something.
Or it's like, hey, look, this guy was mean to his girlfriend. You did that too.
This is, I know a lot of people saying I'm unplugging from social media. I've had it. I'm getting rid of some of my platforms and deleting some of my apps. But I just have a feeling it's here to stay.
It is. Unfortunately, it is. And I was talking about this as well. You can withdraw all you want, but in a way that kind of removes you from being in the loop with a lot of things. Because as I said, a lot of people aren't consuming media the way that they have traditionally in the past. So sometimes, and this could be a pro and a con of social media, it keeps you connected. It keeps you up to date with what's going on in the world. I mean, as soon as, the bombs hit the Middle East, it was on social media right away. You didn't need to go to a TV or go to the internet to see it. All you had to do was open Instagram or X, and X is a problem as well.
It is a problem, but you raise a good point. When they have an alert that because of what's happening in the Middle East, the price of gas is going up, my first thought is, I better top up my gas tank.
I got to fill my tank tonight.
Right, because it's going to go up 6, 10, 12 cents a liter. And that's going to affect me.
And that information was readily available to us within seconds. As soon as someone like Dan McTagg said something like that, it's right there on social media.
And prior to that, you'd have to wait till like the 6 o'clock news in your community in Canada. And like, oh no, I missed the window.
I'll be honest, my dad still does that. My dad will sit there in the car and wait on the radio for them to tell you if gas prices are going up or down. And I'm like, Dad, you could just look it up.
And so if the government does something like that, put some restrictions, would Zuckerberg and Meta maybe push back against the government if they're starting to put restrictions? I wonder how vindictive Zuckerberg and Meta would be, and other social media platforms would be, if countries like Canada follow Australia's lead and other countries' lead and start putting restrictions in.
I think if it affects their profitability, it definitely will make a difference for them. But also, I think we just need to look at Australia as an example in general. I mean, look at how they went through the COVID-19 pandemic versus how the rest of the world did.
Yes.
With discipline and rules, things are very, very different. And people who are willing to follow the rules, it makes such a big difference. They did not have to shut down their entire country like we did. So that should reflect in this as well. They are seeing actual results from their ban on social media for younger kids. They are. And the quality of life is different. They're more prone to like go outside and play instead of wondering what my friend's doing on Instagram, what this one posted to their story. Oh, these people are together and I wasn't invited. I think those are things that are often overlooked.
Obviously, we raised 2 daughters and you lived through it. That 11, 12, 13-year-old window for a young woman is very, very challenging.
And could you imagine like Cassandra at 13 years old looking like, oh my gosh, this person posted on their story, and you're like, what do I do with this?
Well, I remember when she was 16 and saw one of her friends went to the Dominican Republic for March break, and how come we're not going? Like, well, we just can't. We couldn't afford it, sweetie.
We didn't plan it.
We didn't plan it, and so it wasn't. It didn't take long till when they got their phones and got into social media, those questions started to come up.
Yeah. And I think, too, a lot of people put one side of their life on social media, right?
Correct.
You don't see what's going on behind the scenes. For example, like your favorite influencers are probably going through it behind the scenes. They are putting out that content to clear the check. They are putting out that content to make it seem like their life is glamorous and whatnot. But behind the scenes, a lot of people are struggling.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up, because I started to follow someone on YouTube, men's health and mental health and physical health influencer, Chris Williamson, who's originally from England, lives in the USA. And he'll often, every once I'll post a video like, you know what? My physical health is bad. I had to basically go to the doctor, get a tune-up, because I'm going through like he'll post a real video. And I'll be honest with you, the response is massive when he's actually that open and honest, like, hey, this is not working. I'm struggling with this. I need help with that. Because people feel like, oh, okay, he said it. Now I can respond and tell you that I'm going through the same thing as well.
That's real life stuff. And that's honestly, I think that's what people want to see more than anything. But because of the way social media has become, we feel like we have to put on a show for it.
Now, how much, and I'm not picking on celebrities, but we recently just had an award show, and we were talking off the air. It seemed like everyone was like on hyper Ozempic. And I love the Osbourne family, but Kelly Osbourne did not look good. Everyone worries about Ariana Grande, and that's what a lot of preteen and teen girls and people are seeing on their social media feeds.
Yeah, but I also think the other side to that, Ariana and Kelly both have gone on their social media to say, listen, like, I'm fine. Like there's no health issues here. And
So I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah. So Kelly Osbourne was actually very, very upset, I believe, last week because people were leaving some insane comments on her social media.
Because of her appearance?
Yes, and she was at the Grammys with her family. They performed a tribute to Ozzy Osbourne, and she was in the audience just vibing with her family. And people, like, she's mourning her father, and you're gonna make comments about her appearance. And she was like, you know what, like, I've had enough of this. I can't take this anymore. And again, this comes back to my point. When did it become okay to just comment on people you don't know, comment on their body, comment on their physical state? Just sometimes keep it to yourself.
Is it a case, Shaliza, where because social media, you're anonymous, you're not standing in front of Pink or Kelly Osbourne or an athlete, or, you know, you're slagging on LeBron because he missed a shot?
Right.
Because you're not in front of them, you feel you can say anything.
Absolutely. That is definitely what people think on the internet. And it's like, well, you can only hide yourself for so long. It still doesn't mean that you are not a real person making a comment about a real person. Regardless of if they're a celebrity or not, they're still people at the end of the day.
Yeah, I as much as I respect a lot of our hired or elected officials and politicians, I still think that all levels of government still don't know what to do with social media in Canada, struggle with how to contain it, what to do with it. They're still struggling, as you said, with C-19 and what to do with Meta and its influence on Canada. And until we figure out a way to have a blueprint as a nation, how to deal with the impact of social media, we're still going to have these issues.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you then, as a dad, as someone who has raised 2 girls, what do you think a good first step would be for the government to
Right
take?
away, no social media for anyone 14 or under in Canada.
And how do you regulate that?
Well,
Yeah.
well, aren't they able to put restrictions when?
Yes. But I mean, you can lie about your age on these devices.
Okay.
You can put in an incorrect birthday when you sign up for Instagram, right? So that, I think that's my thing. I think it's a great idea in big picture, but how do you regulate it? And I think this comes down to the parents a lot as well. Parents have backed off a lot. Like, the parents today are not like my parents. I will tell you that. I'm sure they're not like you either.
No.
And, you know, you can't be afraid of your kids. You need to be able to put your foot down and say, listen, this is not good for you. And you can understand it when you're older.
Now, could it be possible that Rogers, Bell, TELUS, all the cell phone providers, telecoms in Canada, if you're buying a phone for your 12 or 13-year-old son or daughter, they know they have a restriction. They can't even download the app in the first place.
That's a good point. I think that's something that could happen.
Because they could have a phone, you could text mom and dad.
Yep.
You can look up the weather. Like, there's 3 or 4 things, but you cannot, it will not let you download those social media apps, TikTok, X, whatever it is, until you reach a certain age.
That's actually a good point. That's a good start. But again, that's something that everybody needs to be on board with.
Right.
And I think that's probably the major challenge, is getting everybody on board.
Because, Shaliza, I'm reading and seeing and hearing a lot of stories from psychologists and sociologists and mental health therapists, and they are near tears describing the struggles they're going through, helping the youth deal with the negative impact of social media.
And you know what? I don't think it's just limited to youth. I think adults as well. You know, we see people living these beautiful, shiny lives on social media, or in what seem to be super happy relationships on social media. And you're like, well, why can't I have that? Why don't I have that? What do I need to do to get what this person has?
And we are seeing stories that it's not just women, it's men having body image issues. Women, like you say, why don't I live in that house? Why don't I have that car? And question themselves. And I would love to hear from the CMHA and other mental health organizations in the country if they've had a spike in adults dealing with issues as a result of social media.
Yeah. I think we need right now a lot more numbers and data on mental health issues caused by social media. And I think maybe that would open a lot of people's eyes.
We have commissions and royal commissions in this country for a lot of topics. I believe we're long overdue to have a serious, all parties, all levels of government, different experts in the field, to have almost a group think tank and come together and like, this is social media. This is the problems with it. This is what's happening to Canadians, and maybe have a blueprint, maybe how to fix it.
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea. That's just a step that we need to take, that the government needs to take.
How much of it, Shaliza, as we close here, is that some people can handle social media, it has no effect on them, and some people it has great effect, and that's just part of their personality.
Yeah, I think obviously everybody's different. Everybody receives things in different ways, but I also think it's a lot of onus on yourself as well. You need to check in with yourself. If you find that you're scrolling TikTok and you find yourself spiraling, you find yourself feeling burnt out, exhausted, like you need to put the phone down and take a break and walk away too. So we can't blame the government and social media. We have to take a look inside and look at ourselves as well.
And go for a walk, maybe go to the gym, or do anything.
Yeah.
But stare at that phone all day.
Yeah. And not every aspect of our lives needs to be recorded.
Yes.
As a lot of like content creators,
Yes.
influencers make it seem. Like, speaking of the gym and walks, I see people walking around like this all the time, like vlogging their
In the gym?
Yeah. In the gym, at Pilates, just going for walks. Like it's everywhere.
My pet peeve is when I'm walking the dog and people are on their speaker phone and they got it cranked up and they got their phone this far away. And sometimes my dog looks up like, what's going on?
Yeah,
Like,
or,
don't worry
like,
about
you
it.
gotta love the people walking their dogs, not paying attention to their dogs when they're just like this.
Yeah.
But again, we need to look at ourselves as well before we blame everybody else for what's going on.
Good point. She's Shaliza. I'm Jim. Thanks for watching.